Well, hey folks, and welcome to Solarcabin channel. I know some of you have been contacting me wondering what I've been up to since you hadn't seen any videos in a little while. Well, I've been kind of vacationing. I went up and did some camping up in the high Uintas, did some fishing, took my dogs along, and was doing some videotaping up there. And then I took a trip over to Park City, Utah, which if you're not familiar with what that is, that's where they held the 2002 Winter Olympics. And it's only actually about an hour and a half away from my property, and I went up there and did some videotaping in that area. And so I'm working on some projects that I'll be sharing with you here in the near future. But now I'm back at the cabin, and I wanted to let you know that for one thing, the Tiny Off-Grid House contest, there's only 2 weeks left. Okay, just 2 weeks, and there's some great prizes. There's a $500 cash prize, a 100-watt solar panel prize, plus everybody gets an ebook with their plans in it. So if you want to get in on that, there's still time, but you got to get your plans in right away before the end of June. Okay, if they're after June, forget it. I'm not even going to look at them. I'll just say, sorry, you're out of luck, maybe next year. So make sure you get your plans in. Go on there, and I even show you how to design plans if you're interested in learning how to design your own small houses. Now, speaking of small house plans, I'm also releasing all of my individual house plans separately so that you'll be able to get each plan instead of getting a book with all the plans in it, which is going to be a really big project. You'll be able to get each of the individual plans, and when I say plans, you get the SketchUp file with the 3D modifiable model, and you get a written ebook that has the step-by-step project plans for how to build these small cabins. I've already got 3 of them on there that you can go look at. I've got the Quixote Cottage on there. I've got the A-frame cabin on there. I've got a Thoreau cabin on there, which is built based on the Henry David Thoreau cabin, which is really nice. So go check those out, and I'm going to be releasing the others. My next one that I will release will be the little luxury cabin, because I've had a lot of interest in that. So I'll be putting the plans up for that in the next few days, and then I'm just going to go on down the line creating each individual plan and releasing them. And the plans, I decided to just make them $5. $5 for a 3D SketchUp model that you can modify and make it work for your needs, and the ebook plans that go along with it. And I will include information for solar panels and solar systems and other systems that I would recommend for those projects. Now today what I want to talk about is off-grid refrigeration. And it seems to be one of the topics that comes up a lot in my groups and when I'm talking to people is, what do you recommend for a fridge? Off-grid refrigeration is a big issue because generally refrigerators, especially the bigger models of refrigerators, use a lot of power. Okay, they have a separate pump and a big compressor, and they got a lot of space that they have to get cold, and so they use too much power for our small off-grid cabins, and so we don't use those generally. So you have some options, and I've talked about these in some of my other videos. I've showed you how to build your own ice box, and a lot of people still just use ice boxes, and if you have a really well-insulated, thick insulated ice box, you can just put ice in it, and that'll keep your food fresh for a week, you know, generally. But if you're off-grid quite a ways and you don't want to have to go down and get ice, then maybe you want a smaller fridge. And I've showed you how to use the Edge Star fridge, which I've been using up until now. I've been using an Edge Star fridge. It has worked very well, and I'll show it to you when we go downstairs here. The only problem with it is it uses about 70 watts of power. It can use a lot of power. Uses about 1,400 watts just to get started, which requires a big system and a lot of batteries. Then it drops down to about 70 watts, about 5 amps of power. That's still quite a drain on a small system, especially in wintertime. So I've come up with another fridge, and it is made by ARB. That's the letters, ARB. You can go look them up, fridge refrigerator, and this is a 50-quart model. So I'm going to take you down. I'm going to show you that unit. Because that is another option, especially for people that are off-grid all the time, that need something that works all the time, that is low power, that is built to handle rough conditions. These ARB fridges are really nice. So let's go downstairs and I'll show you this new ARB fridge and explain to you how it works. Okay, one of the options that you can consider for a fridge is using a chest freezer, and a lot of off-gridders use chest freezers. Now this chest freezer is a 5 cubic foot capacity, which is a good size chest freezer, but not one of the really big ones. As you can see here, it stands up probably about 36 inches, about 3 feet from the floor, and is about 3 feet wide. And this one is made by Haier, H-A-I-E-R. And I just bought it locally, but you can also get them from Amazon and online. I think I paid about $100 for this unit, okay? Now, what you also need in order to convert it to a fridge is you need to buy a unit. And you can get these on Amazon. They make a couple of different varieties. You can go look at them. This one's made by Penn. It has a little thermostat control there on the bottom of it. You can see that. It's got a thermostat control, and then it's got a thermostat. And what you have to do is either drape this in over the top or drill a hole into the freezer. You've got to be careful. If you drill holes, you may be voiding your warranty on the freezer, but I think you're okay. And what you do is you put that thermostat down into the bottom of the freezer. That reads it, and then this unit plugs in, and you plug your power into that, and that way you can see, there it is. Okay, you can see on the cord it's got to plug in on both sides, and what it does is it monitors the temperature inside this so that it doesn't get to freezing. It just stays at the temperature that you want to use it as a fridge. And then this unit here controls the power, so it shuts it down. Now because these are well insulated, you can see the walls on these are almost 3 inches thick. Okay, these have an almost 3-inch thick, and they got a really thick lid. And because they're a chest freezer, cold air tends to fall down into the bottom of the freezer, so it holds the cold in. With a refrigerator, when you open up a refrigerator door, all the cold air falls out of it. Okay, with these units here, the cold stays in it, so they maintain the temperature much, much better, and they're much better insulated than just a standard fridge. This unit, just running on regular power, it says on the label down there, this takes about 1.6 amps when it's running regularly. However, this has the old type of compressor in it, and it takes about 12 amps, which is a lot of power, in order to get the compressor running. Okay, that's a problem because that requires a larger system. Even though your small system may be able to handle it when it's running, to get it running, to get the compressor motors running, takes a lot of power. Now, I haven't even hooked this one up. This is still one of my projects. I'm building on a new workshop cabin, and I'm going to be putting this and my EdgeStar refrigerator in there, and I'll probably just use this freezer as a freezer to keep all my meat stored in it. So that is one option that a lot of off-gridders are using for making a fridge. And generally what happens in these is the very bottom of the fridge, if you get your temperature set right, the very bottom of the chest freezer will keep your frozen goods frozen, and you put your stuff that you want not frozen up in your baskets or on top, and you can buy more baskets that will go inside these, so you could have a couple of baskets. And what I would do is, if you line the bottom of the basket with cardboard, that will also keep the stuff that's inside the basket from freezing, while the stuff that you want frozen will be down on the bottom. It's a little bit of a hassle to kind of move stuff around and find stuff, but this holds actually more food than an average fridge does, and it's only a 5 cubic foot freezer. And you're going to spend maybe $100, $150 for the freezer, probably another $49, $50 for the control unit. So you're looking at about $200, but that's a good option for a low power system for off-gridding. But I'm going to show you the one that I got, which is even lower power. In fact, it's the lowest power system I've found yet. This is an ARB, made by ARB, and they primarily make equipment for off-road work. And these are designed as small units. They're 50 quart that people can put in their Jeeps or their trucks when they're going off unit. And they run, these have a Danfoss compressor in them. Okay, a Danfoss compressor is a multi-voltage unit that can be run off of either AC or DC, and it uses less than 1 amp. Now that's very little power. I haven't found any other unit that uses that amount of power all the time, because the Danfoss compressor is designed so that it does not require a separate compressor pump. So there's no compressor pump that has to kick on in order to get the refrigerant moving around these units. So they come on and they only use around 1 or a little less than 1 amp of power to run. And these are designed as a freezer and refrigerator. And believe me, they are a true 0-degree freezer. They will freeze your stuff solid. Or you can use it like I was talking about the chest freezer. You put your stuff in the bottom that you want froze. You put your stuff in the top that you want cooler. Now these come with a second cord. You can see there, it comes with the DC cord or the AC cord. I've got it plugged into AC, and I'm just running it off a little 400 watt inverter, which it doesn't even need that much. But it comes with the DC cord and the AC cord, and this has an intelligent computer in it that will read when the power is low. If you're running this off DC and it senses that your batteries are getting low, so that it doesn't discharge your batteries, it will shut itself off. And that's no problem, because with running this unit like this off just a standard 12-volt battery in your vehicle, you'd still get about 2 to 3 days of running without running your battery down, so you don't go get in your car and find out that your battery's dead because the fridge was on. It has a computer on the front, which you can see. LED readouts. Right now it's showing that it is at 19 degrees Fahrenheit. I have noticed that the temperature, and other people have said the same thing, the temperature on these is about 10 degrees off from what it actually reads. Don't know why that is. It's probably where the placement is of the thermostat. But it reads about 10 degrees off. So if it's sitting at 19 degrees, which is where I have this set, that's actually about 29 degrees inside. And that keeps my frozen stuff froze at the bottom and doesn't freeze my other stuff at the top. And I had to kind of play around with the temperature to get it set right. It has on-off switches. It has temperature controls that will read. You can either raise the temperature or lower the temperature that you want it set at. It has a really nice, now this is a 50-quart model. They do make a larger model. They also make smaller models. It has a nice clamp on it. The outside is all a very sturdy, hard plastic, okay? It's made for a lot of off-grid road use, and so it'll take abuse, and you don't have to worry about it. One thing I really like is because I can take this with me if I'm going camping. It's got handles on it. You can see it's got a handle on both sides, and you can just grab it and take it with you when you're going camping, or bring it in your off-grid cabin, and I just use it in the cabin. And it does have a fan down there on the side. You might be able to hear it. It doesn't make much noise. It actually makes less noise than my EdgeStar refrigerator. That is the only working part of this fridge, is the fan. And because of where it's located, and they've got screw holes on it there, you can get to the fan, and they do supply replacement fan blades and things like that if this was to break down and you need parts. But people have been using these for over 5 years now, and I haven't heard any major complaints about them breaking down or anything like that. They seem to be very well built. Now, I'll open it up and show you inside the lid. The lid just flips down. This has a really thick, it's built like a chest freezer, okay? You can see the lid, the roof up here is almost 3 inches. I'd say about 2.5 inches. It's got about 2.5 inches of foam or something insulation inside there, okay? So that's really good. Now, this is not going to hold as much food as that freezer unit, but it still holds a lot of food. As you can see, it's got a place up on top here for your canned goods. You can put your soda pops and your stuff that you don't want froze. You can put those in here, okay, and they won't freeze on you. And then I've got my milk sitting on top so it doesn't freeze. And then down in the lower portion, you can see I've got some pork chops ready to barbecue. I put my stuff that I want real cold down on the bottom down in there. I've got some TV dinners and some things in there. Stuff that I don't want froze, I put on top of the baskets. This will hold enough food, I would say, for 2 people for a week, okay? It'll hold enough food to get you by for 2 people for a week, probably. The sides are also very thick insulation. I would say they're probably about 1.5 inches of insulation all the way around the sides of the cooler, about 2 inches, 1.5 inches, 2 inches in the top of the cooler. It does have a light, which is really handy. It has a light that comes on so you can see inside at night if you're fumbling around trying to find a sandwich or something like that. And enough space to keep your food cold. Now, the one drawback of this is the price. These units are not cheap. A ARB 50-quart model is going to cost you right around $800, okay? These are not cheap units. But because they are a Danfoss compressor, because they are used off-grid and off-road, very well built, constructed, you may want to consider getting one of these. I finally decided to get one of these. Here's my EdgeStar refrigerator, which I have used now for about 2 years, and I've been very happy with the EdgeStar refrigerator. Like I said, though, the only problem with it is it does use a lot of power to get started. It's fine once it's running, but in order to get it started, and because I have to restart my refrigerator every day, because at night I don't want it running, it uses too much power. Whereas I can run this ARB fridge all the time, 24 hours a day, and it uses about 1/10 of the power of that EdgeStar. And it's very well insulated, so it holds the cold in. I actually still turn this off at night, and all my food is still very fresh and cold, and most of my frozen stuff is still frozen even after sitting overnight because of the extra insulation. They built these with the insulation so that it will hold that cold in there. So that's really nice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep using this in the cabin where it only uses 1 amp. And I'm going to take that EdgeStar refrigerator and this chest freezer, and I'm going to put them out in my new workshop that I'm building. And I'm going to run them off of a different system so that I am not using that power all the time. They will be run off their own system so that then they will run all the time. And I might not use the EdgeStar fridge. I'll have to decide. But I will definitely have this chest freezer hooked up in that workshop so I can keep all my meat frozen there. And then I'll just bring in what I want to keep during the week, what I'm eating, and just put it in this small ARB fridge. So that's the system that I have planned. You can find these ARB fridges on the ARB website. They're also available on Amazon. I got mine within about 5 days with free shipping. It was just a little under $800. That's the 50-quart model. Go on there, take a look at those. I think you'll be pretty impressed by them, but you might be surprised by the price. But I would say for off-grid living, if you want a really good fridge, it's going to last a very long time, that's designed to use low power, the ARB fridge is probably the top of the line for that system if you only want just a small fridge freezer. Alright folks, I hope you enjoyed this video. I got lots of plans and things I'm doing. Please go look at my website, simplesolarhomesteading.com. Get you a copy of those small house plans. Take a look at my book, Ultimate Off-Grid Guide. Alright everybody, have a great day.